Did you know that if you live in a home built before about the 1950s, your home had a Google-type map of it long before Google even existed? I'm talking about Sanborn fire insurance maps, and in some ways, they contain even more information about your home and your neighborhood than Google Maps. Sanborn maps were a tool for fire insurance companies to assess the risk associated with providing coverage for a building as it relates to fire in the late 19th century through the middle of the 20th century. I have several videos that go into more depth explaining the purpose and background of these maps, and of course I'll include the links to those videos in the description. But for this video, it should be sufficient just for you to understand that these maps were used by insurance companies, and they contained a lot of detailed information about the homes and businesses included on them. As far as Google Maps, we're all aware of those, and we use them countless times to find out how to get from point A to point B, or find the nearest Mexican food restaurant, or even to creep on where someone lives without having to drive by their house. Google Maps launched in 2005 and since then has grown beyond just satellite imagery, and now it includes Google Street View, a 360-degree panoramic street-level view of basically any place that has a road for the Google camera car to drive on. When Google Street View was launched in 2007, it garnered quite a bit of controversy related to privacy concerns. But we'll get into that a bit more in just a minute. First off, I want us to look at how Sanborn Maps and Google Maps are similar. Both maps offer an aerial view of a home, allowing you to see the footprint of the home. They show the home's position on the lot. You can see whether a home has a big backyard, how close it is to the neighbor on all the different sides. You can see the other homes in the neighborhood. This is really convenient today when you want to see a neighborhood of a home that maybe you're looking to rent or buy, or you just reserved your Airbnb and want to see what that neighborhood looks like. Both of these maps show the street names and the layouts of the street in the city. If the street name changes, both maps get updated. Sanborn maps would be updated with either pasting the new name over the old one, or it would be updated in the next revision with the previous name in parentheses. Google is able to update more seamlessly when street names get changed. As you can probably assume, both maps had their fair share of privacy concerns. For Sanborn maps, the surveyors would walk down the streets documenting every single detail about a home's exterior construction, including the roofing material, the number of stories, location of windows, and dimensions of the homes and the streets. In some cases, Sanborn surveyors would even include details on the inside of the buildings, but we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Not everybody was keen on a surveyor mapping out their home and asking questions about it. Some people would try to run off the surveyors, while others thought they were spies. In today's world, there are similar privacy concerns with Google Maps, and specifically the Street View maps. Not everybody wants their home to be on the internet for anyone in the world to see. Both Sanborn Maps and Google Maps are updated periodically. Depending on the city size and the growth rate, Sanborn Maps would be updated every 3 to 5 years, or maybe just once a decade. It depended. Google Maps get updated much more frequently. And lastly, both Sanborn Maps and Google Maps have historic maps, so you can go back and see how changes have occurred in areas over time. When I was doing the research for my video on Austin neighborhoods, I was able to compare Google Street Views of a particular neighborhood from 2007 and then every 1 or 2 years afterwards. You could literally see how the neighborhood changed from a residential area with homes to a parking lot and then to a high-rise building. Sanborn maps would also show these types of changes, but just on a less frequent update schedule. So that's how Sanborn maps and Google Maps are similar. Now let's go over how they're different from one another. First off, Google is just an image of the outside of your home. If you want photographs of the inside of your home, that's what Zillow and Trulia are for, but you can also have those photos removed. Sanborn maps would include interior details of some, not all, public buildings on their maps, like these hotels from St. Augustine, Florida, or this cafeteria from the College of William and Mary. The reason why Sanborn maps had these details goes back to the need to assess the building for fire risk by the insurance agency. When it comes to privacy concerns, you can have your home blurred under Google Street View. However, if you lived in a town where sanborn maps were being drawn, your home could not be excluded. Usually, when homes were not included on sanborn maps, it was because they were outside the area of interest, or they were farmhouses, or they were large rural estates. Otherwise, all the buildings in the city were mapped. The only thing that was redeeming about this is that the maps were used by the insurance agents and were not for public use like the Google Maps are today. Sanborn maps documented the details of your home's exterior appearance on the maps. On Google, you can visually see these things, but it's not explicitly described on the map itself. Sanborn maps documented things related to fire departments, like how many people were on the fire department, how many vehicles the fire department had, the location of fire hydrants, and then details about water main lines and even the prevailing wind direction. All of these details mattered to insurance agents. Google doesn't explicitly spell out this information, although you would probably be able to see fire hydrants on the street views if you looked. Sanborn maps also provided details on each city, including the population, the county and state names, the date of the survey, and any relevant copyright information. As you can imagine, Google Maps are updated much more frequently than Sanborn maps. It was a labor-intensive process to update Sanborn maps, making it very expensive. This is actually one of the reasons why sanborn maps are no longer used by the fire insurance industry and are mostly reserved now for municipalities to use when they're planning architectural or engineering projects. And then, of course, the obvious. Sanborn maps were just hand-drawn paper maps. Google Maps show satellite images. You can see trees and vegetation, and some cities even have that neat 3D effect where you can see the height of buildings and kind of like fly around. So I bet you never considered that 120 years ago, people were dealing with privacy concerns with their houses being mapped out by a stranger. It just goes to show you that there really isn't anything new under the sun. If you found this video interesting, I would love a thumbs up. I post videos regularly on all things related to Sanborn maps, with the majority of my videos being tours of the cities through the Sanborn maps. I'm constantly finding out new things from the past through the Sanborn maps, and I love sharing those stories with you. As always, thanks for stopping by.